Hello people, I am Jaby Koay, joined by ACHARA KIRK.
Hi there.
We're gonna do this a little bit different today. We're talking about Hello people, I'm Jaby Koay, joined by ACHARA KIRK.
Hey there.
We're going to do things a little bit different today. We're talking about two films, Mercury and October. They both released at the same time, essentially, and we watched them back to back, and both of them set up certain ideas in our minds that weren't actually what happened when we watched the film. I'm not gonna say whether that's good or bad just yet. We're gonna start off with a very, very brief non-spoiler, giving you some ideas to what you'll get with both films. After that, we're gonna go into our spoiler discussion for both movies. If you're looking for a review where it's simply mirroring your super positive feelings about the movie, you're not gonna get that here. I'm just gonna let you know up front. We didn't hate the movies, but we didn't love the movies, and I know October was like crazy loved by audiences and critics alike. I wanna just let you guys know up front, if you are just looking for, you know, a super positive 100% review from Jaby and ACHARA, you're not gonna get that here, and you probably don't wanna get upset by watching anymore, and you can just go watch another video of ours. So, this is from IMDb. Mercury. A group of youngsters try to escape from a man who has fallen prey to mercury poisoning in this silent thriller. October. Dan is living the life of a carefree 21-year-old revolving around a bunch of friends and fellow hotel interns who feed off each other's everyday moments, their ups and downs. Shuli is one such intern at the same hotel who at times is at a receiving end of Dan's audaciousness. Life goes on until a sudden turn of events smashes Dan and Shuli's lives together into a bond that's unlike any 21-year-old's. The emotional connection between them goes through a metamorphosis that brings out a form of love that's unlike any other, eventually leading to an internal awakening. October is not a love story, but rather a story about love. If you're looking for films that are different, I would recommend both of these.
Yes.
In my humble opinion, these are not perfect movies. In fact, I have a lot of issues with both of them, but I would still recommend both of them for different reasons. Mercury is interesting conceptually. Like,
yes.
it tries to do things that you don't see in movies a whole lot. Because of that, I respect it. I respect the craft. I respect the craft of October as well. It's a beautiful picture. It's very well put together, but I have issues with the story and the plot. It was done deliberately that way, and I understand what the director was going for, but I just inherently found issue with that. Nevertheless, I say go watch both of these movies. I give them both 3 out of 5. That's me personally. What's your take?
That's exactly my score as well, 3 out of 5. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. What more can I say? You stole the words right out of my mouth.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I just feel like I've got it together.
No,
Okay.
yeah.
At this point in time, if you haven't seen either one and you are very concerned and apprehensive about hearing spoilers for either of these films, turn this video off now, go to something else. We've got links in the description below for other videos you can watch. Otherwise, stick around, we're gonna get into this conversation and you'll see why we're comparing the two. Both of these movies set up certain ideas, right?
I take a bit of issue with the description on IMDb because it says it's a man who has fallen prey to mercury poisoning. But I don't feel like that was the case.
No.
He came back to life because they killed him,
Right.
and then he came back to life. I'm not really sure if there was a correlation with the mercury or if it was some sort of like supernatural thing or whatever.
Well, that's the problem right there.
Yeah.
It's supernatural, not mercury.
I was confused. I think the thing with this movie is that conceptually, it's really strong. It's really interesting. Hats off to the director, Karthik Subaraj, for wanting to do something different and creating a very unique thriller.
But it lacked characters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And another issue that I had with it, they marketed it as a silent movie that everyone can understand. But the fact of the matter is, sign language is a language.
Right, and I couldn't understand half
I
the
felt
things
like
that
I
they were
was
saying.
missing out so much because there were no subtitles, even though I understood the gist of it, but I didn't understand all the nuances. So because of that, it hindered the character development.
Even when you have characters that don't speak, I think you can still create nuances between those characters to make them each feel unique. But it felt like everybody, all the men behaved exactly the same. They were all cut from the exact same cloth. They were shaped the exact same way in terms of character development, except for like one guy, but they killed him off. He was the first one they killed off.
It's like, bye.
It just felt like we were watching 3 of the same person. I didn't really know why I should care. There wasn't a whole lot to hang my hat on emotionally. There was just a lot of cool ideas in the movie. So what you have here is a film that has an interesting idea and an interesting story, but like characters that you just didn't give a shit about. On the other end, you've got October, which has characters that are actually really well nuanced and developed and thought through and great acting, but the story just goes nowhere. It literally is the same beat for most of the movie after the accident takes place.
Yeah.
That being said, the accident was a surprise. It did catch me off guard. But like after that, the movie is literally like the latter half of $1 Million Baby for 2 hours. And I'm like, where is this going? Where is this movie going? Now, like I said, there's character in there. The main character, Dan, goes through this change over the course of the movie. He used to be selfish and audacious, as this description put it.
Basically, I would just call him an asshole.
Yeah, he was a jerk.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the film, he was extremely selfless. He was obsessively selfless. And that was a true character arc, which was great. I loved it. There was no character arcs in Mercury. So you've got these two films that are like on the opposite sides of problems for me. For us.
Yeah. What are you doing?
I just needed a little bit more story, a little bit more plot in October. In Mercury, it was just plot. It was just plot and story, but there was no character, there was no emotional connection to anything happening.
Yeah, I didn't really feel like the character struggle in Mercury was very interesting.
Yeah.
They all just freaked out and then were like crying and screaming. The best part of Mercury was when they discovered that the bad guy, Prabhudeva, was blind. Because that was like, ooh, this is really cool. They had that bit with the ladder, which was impossible, but you know, whatever. It was exciting.
They still did cool things with it.
Yeah, they did cool things with it, and it was very much like, you had those thriller moments where you're like, oh my god, he's gonna get... No, he's not. And I think that's what is fun about horror and thrillers, is watching people try and get out...
And outsmart the bad guy.
And outsmart the bad guy, which they did to a certain extent, but I wish they had done more.
Because it's Prabhudeva, I was expecting a thriller Michael Jackson aspect to this that we didn't get. I know that it's not a dance movie at all. It doesn't have to be, but you've got Prabhudeva in there, and while his movements were interesting and nuanced in a very peculiar way that only he could pull off, I still just was like hoping for more, I don't know, more stuff, more of a transformation over the course of the film than just becoming a clicker. I wanted to see him grow more in his movements and make more use of Prabhudeva's skill set, because it's him. Like, I've watched the guy dance. He can do way more than what the film gave him, and that frustrated me. Again, the two extremes. Mercury was so hard on the nose, spoon-feeding you the message, the problems of humanity and what we're doing to each other and how we're hurting each other. Whereas October was actually a lot more nuanced.
Yeah.
It has this philosophical message, which is very nuanced. It's not in your face. It's like, this is something that happens in real life, and you have to make the most of now, and it's layered with a lot of messages. I'm not gonna just try to truncate it all right now, but I like that it had those messages. I just wish that the plot did more things. The realism of it bothered me a little bit.
It was very, very real.
Yeah.
I said this to you at the end of October. It just felt like a hangout movie, but like a depressing one.
Right. Here's the thing. I don't know how many of you guys have gone through something like this. I have. I had a best friend that was hit by a car and ended up in a coma for 2 months, something like that, and then became a completely different person when he woke up. The way the movie portrays Shuli's experiences is very, very real. Like, it's scary how real they got it. It was very, very accurate to real life. And I commend the film for that. I commend the actress for that. The film needed to do more than that for me, though. I mean, like, I went through that in real life. I'm like, I don't want to go through this again in a movie. This is just depressing. Like, give me some hope. Give me something to aspire for. Like, the end of the film, she dies, and I'm like, okay, so what was the point of this journey? Like, what are you trying to say, movie? I want hope at the end of this film. Like, I needed a scene where the actor goes to the mom and says, do you regret anything? Like, I know this is on the nose. I was just complaining about Mercury being on the nose, but I needed something where the mom essentially says, it was worth the fight. It was worth it in case she could make it through. If I had to do it 1,000 times again, I would have done it 1,000 times again. You know what would have been a perfect dialogue? Is if the uncle said, I told you so. If the uncle came back and said, I told you, you wasted all that money trying to keep her alive, and she could have lost her shit and went bananas on him and said, I would have done it 1,000 times more if I had the opportunity again. I don't care if she would have died every time, I would have tried again. Like, that kind of speech I needed, because as it was, I'm like, I don't know why I watched this movie. I don't know what the hell happened there. Like, she died. And here's the thing. I know a lot of people were emotional watching this film. I wanted to be emotional. There was an Indian woman sitting 3 seats away from me to the right, and she was sobbing, and I'm like, why are you sobbing? I don't know why she's sobbing. I want the feels. Give me the feels, movie. Like, I just felt like I was being left out of this club. We left the film, and there was 2 Indian guys behind us, and I'm like, did you like the movie? He's like, I love the movie. I'm like, what? How did you love the movie? Like, I liked it okay, but you loved it? And he's like, well, I read about it in advance. And I'm like, see, he had information I didn't have. The trailer misled me. Because at the end of the trailer, if you go back and watch it, Dan is sitting with Shuli on this log. And so you think, oh, she makes it out of this really messed up situation and actually gets better. And maybe it's a love story where she doesn't remember him, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
you know,
but they said it's not a love story.
Whatever.
Watching the trailer back again, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess there were nuances that we missed watching the trailer because we wanted it to be a love story.
Yeah.
But still, it was hard for me to understand his sudden obsession with her.
I got it.
You did?
I got it.
Okay.
That's one of the things I loved about the movie, because I actually kind of identified with Dan. Like, I used to be a real asshole, and
Used to be?
Yeah, yes, used to be. I don't do that. I actually identify with his character, like him wanting to have so much more and seeing himself as having more than just this and being kind of a jerk and thinking he's better than other people when really he's not. Getting in trouble a lot at work, like I used to get in trouble all the time at work. Like I could totally identify with him. And then he became like really obsessed with the last words of this woman and it relating to him and how that impacts him and what does that mean, and like just deep diving into that and obsessing. Like I totally got where his character was coming from. It made sense to me.
It was very beautiful, though. I do have to say that, like, just in terms of the color, the cinematography, the acting, the music, like, I loved all of that. It felt like what would be an indie movie over here.
Yeah. Yeah. See, this is what's so interesting to me, because like Mercury got everything right that October didn't. October got everything right that Mercury didn't. And I'm like, wow, this is so weird. Like I like and dislike these movies for the exact opposite reasons.
Yeah.
It's so hilarious to me. Because like you just said, like the acting was on point. Like October deserves awards for the acting in this movie. The cinematographer deserves awards. I mean, it's hard to tell like the delineation between cinematographer and director, but all three did very, very well. The writer is who I have the most issue with in this movie, but this seems to be unique to us because most people love what this film did. And I think that where we started in terms of what we were projecting onto the movie says volumes about why we had a harder time with this movie than other people did. We have seen so many Bollywood trailers, and we're like, oh, well, clearly, like, obviously, this is the trajectory of the movie, right? And so we go in with that expectation, whereas, like, audiences over there are like, well, this is completely different than what we're used to. And so that's why they liked it. I mean, I would imagine that's part of why people liked it so much. We get this movie all the time in the States, and so it's not as exciting. It's not as new. There was a movie 10 years back called Amour, a French film. This to me was better than Amour, but it was the same kind of like dragging feeling. I'm like, okay, where is this movie going? And it ends pretty much the same way. I'm like, why am I watching this long death? This is so painful. Amour is the same movie but with old people. If you loved October, go watch Amour. It's beautiful, it's well acted, and it's a long, slow death. I want to emphasize again that these are both like beautiful pictures, and they both are deserving of views for different reasons. I respect both directors. I expect the craftsmanship of both directors quite a lot. I would watch more movies from both of them. In fact, I heard that they both have better movies that I should see. Like the director Karthik Subbaraj has a movie called Pizza I'm supposed to watch.
And Jigar Thunder.
And Shujit Sircar did Piku and Madras Cafe and Vicky Donor, all movies that are supposed to be amazing. We have a number of these. I'm gonna watch more of both of these directors as much as I can. I admire both of them. I just have issues with both these movies, but it's one of those things where it's like I wanted more from them because I respect it so much. It's like if the movie was crap, just like complete crap, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't have as much passion about the words I'm saying. It's because I believe in what they were doing and I believed it could have been more. That's why I'm passionately frustrated, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, totally. Like, I really, really, really wanted to like Mercury because I just thought the concept was so cool.
Yeah.
And to have it fall short because of just a few little things that maybe they could have worked on a bit or tweaked is just a little bit frustrating. But still worth a watch. Same with October. Like, I love dramas and romances, but this time, for whatever reason, it didn't really I wanted to be that crying lady.
Yeah.
I was expecting to be the crying lady, and I was like, maybe half a tear.
Okay, that's actually important. ACHARA cries at commercials, okay? ACHARA is very easy to make cry. I showed her a video of me and my mom. It was maybe 20 seconds, and she just started crying because my mom was crying. It doesn't take much for her, and she dropped maybe half a tear during the entirety of October. That to me says something about the movie. Maybe there are cultural nuances lost on us.
Maybe.
I really don't think so. I think it just didn't resonate with us as deeply because maybe because we have films like this already over here that we've seen before. And I wanted hope. There's nothing to...
Yeah, sometimes when things feel just too heavy,
Yeah.
like it's almost too sad to cry about. Whereas you'll often find it easier to cry when there is a glimpse of a silver lining, when there is hope and it's snatched away. Like that's so much.
Or even if it
sadder.
works out, like there is a scene in, God, even thinking about it is like making me tear up. In a movie that not everybody loved, A Wrinkle in Time, when she reunites with her dad, I'm like, I'm just like, I'm happy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The thought I want to end this on that's important, that I feel is the most important, is that both of these movies are bold movies. Like they are bold. It takes a lot of courage to do what both of these movies did, and I commend both directors for it. Karthik and Shujit, you guys are awesome. I'm looking forward to watching more of your stuff. Be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments below. I really, really want to hear what you guys think, not just of your feelings about these movies, but what you thought of our feelings on it, what you thought of our take on it. Even if you disagree, like I'd love to hear your thoughts.
But make it constructive. Like not just Jaby and ACHARA. You're dumb.
Yeah.
That's why you didn't get it.
You're
like,
dumb. You don't get anything. Unsubscribe. Fuck you, Jaby.
Like, no, like, let's have a conversation. I genuinely, I really want to know if there's stuff that we missed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're fat, Jaby. All right, you guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Please be sure to check out ACHARA KIRK on the social media. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check out our other reactions, reviews, and short films. I'm Jaby Koay. This is
ACHARA KIRK.
Peace out.